Hello, everybody. This is Miss Peachy from your WCA Earth and Space Science class, and I am going to go through what you need to do this week. So this is the week of September the 13th, and you have two things on your planner for the week, which I don't know if I have actually up for you at the moment. Yes, I do. Those are so many windows, I couldn't find it. So Monday and Wednesday, you have explorers and scientists. So that's the one I'm going to go through today, or in this video. There's going to be two videos, and they're both being filmed today. But the first one I'm going to go through on the first video here is explorers and scientists, because it's just too much information to go through in one video. So I want to just kind of introduce a few things to you about this course and how all these lessons work. So what you're going to find is that the majority of the content for the course is not included in the lesson viewer itself. It's not in here. It's going to be in links that are in the lesson viewer. So you're going to be clicking around a lot. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to scroll through here, and I'm going to actually have you go right away to page 2 and find this work file. So I think that's an important thing to have open right away. You actually won't use this one for this lesson until slide 2, but I'm just going to have you get in the habit of having that work file open right away, just so you know that you need to complete some stuff. So the work file is either going to be like a place for notes, or often it's an activity that you're going to be working on. And this one, since it has tasks, task 1, task 2, task 3, and task 4, is actually an activity that you're going to be doing, which is starting on slide 2. So we won't quite be using that yet. I'm going to go back to slide 1. And in slide 1, as you'll see here, there is some information. So it's kind of an introductory slide telling you a little bit about Earth and space science, that you as a student need to be both an explorer and a scientist in this particular class. And so you're going to first learn a bit about the Earth by clicking on these little um, pulsing dots on the Earth. It's going to tell you about the different layers of the Earth. And then you're going to click on these two links, the solar system and the universe, and that's going to take you to some web pages that NASA has up, which will help us to understand a bit about space. You can read a little bit about space here, about the sun, the moon, the planets and dwarf planets, the asteroids, meteoroids, and comets, and just kind of read through it just to get more familiar with this. You're not going to be test or quizzed on this information. It's just a kind of a getting acquainted type of an activity. Okay. There's also a practice quiz at the bottom. This I'd pay kind of closer attention to because it's going to ask you some questions. And these are the questions that probably will pop up again later on a quiz or on a test. So I would definitely pay close attention to these. And then you move on to slide 2. And in slide 2, after it talks to you a little bit about what plagiarism is, it's going to ask you to do this work file. And again, a work file is either going to be notes and stuff that you're going to use on your tests or quizzes, or it's going to be an activity that also might show up on tests or quizzes. So sometimes the work file is going to be turned in as a portfolio, and sometimes the work file is going to be something you don't turn in right away, but then you have to use part of it later as one of the quiz questions. So it's important to make sure you're completing those, even though you might be tempted to skip them. So there's 4 different tasks here for your work file, task 1, 2, 3, and 4. The directions for the task are on the work file itself. For example, task 1 says, use the resource provided in the lesson, list 5 characteristics of an explorer. So if I go back to the lesson, which is here, it actually, in task 1, gives you these characteristics of an explorer. So this is an easy task because you just have to copy those characteristics down. Then for task 2, again, going back to the work file for directions, it says now go to resource 2 in the activity section and read about characteristics that are needed to be a scientist. Write a paragraph here describing at least 5 characteristics of a scientist and why you think they are the most important. So if I go down to task 2, this is where it links me to another site. So again, you'll see that these are going to be linking you to other sites. Oftentimes it's just another slide like this one is, and it talks about what a scientist is, and you just need to focus on 5 characteristics and why you think they are the most important. And then it's going to go down to task 3 again, starting with that work file. It tells you to write an compare and contrast summary. So you're going to look at tasks 1 and 2 and compare and contrast them. How are they similar and how are they different? And then for task 4, it's going to ask you to go to this website here and pick out 2 different scientists and find out, you know, what they are famous for. Let's see what it says specifically. It says, tell me what kind of science they practice, what discoveries or innovations they are famous for, and how have these innovations affected you or your family. So there's 3 things to do for 2 different scientists. What science, what major discoveries or innovations, and how does that affect you or your family for scientist number 1, and the same 3 questions for scientist number 2. So again, save this. You might want to create like a little folder for Earth and Space Science and save this as um, whatever the title of this lesson is. I would save it as like Unit 1, Lesson 4, Explorers and Scientists. And so you would have that work file saved. So then later, if we have a quiz that says to copy and paste a specific part, sometimes it will ask you to, you know, paste the summary of the of your compare and contrast essay, paste that into the quiz for question number 2. You have that information, you have that done. Otherwise, you'll lose points because you won't have that stuff done. And it does happen. That happens periodically. So make sure you do that. So that's everything from this lesson. There's nothing here for you to submit right now. But again, stuff gets submitted later. So this is my advice to you because I'm telling you it's going to happen. To make sure you have that work file completed, and also make sure you take notes on the practice quiz from the first slide. Those are kind of my big 2 tips for this lesson. All right, so that's it for Monday and Wednesday. So I'll come back with another video to show you what you guys need to do on Friday.